Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. Today we're going to review the Exit 8 PCVR. It's a game that released on the Steam store November 29th, 2023, but it does not officially support VR, but you're easily able to play it in VR using the Unreal Engine VR mod by Praydog. And on the Meta store, they officially released a VR version, but not on the Steam store for some reason. They're charging $7 for the VR version on the Quest. It's only $4 for the superior PC version, so I definitely recommend getting the PC VR version since UEVR is completely free, although I definitely get it if you want to support the VR developers and buy the official VR version. That's perfectly fine. And I'll go over the pros and cons. I don't own the Quest version, but I've seen video of it, so I think I can competently compare them. First of all, the PC VR version using Unreal Engine VR mod is not perfect. There are some visual glitches. I had to make some modifications to the engine.ini file, and I'll put what specifically I did in the video description, and that'll get rid of the fish lens effect that the game naturally has. But even with that fix, there was an issue with some of the lighting, and it does cause an issue as far as spotting the ghost in the ceiling, and I have an example of that where it's very easy to see on the desktop view recording for YouTube, but inside the VR headset it actually wasn't that easy to spot. The other issue is optimization. This is not the best optimized game in VR. To get the best visuals possible, I settled for around 60 frames per second. Now technically I could get this up to 90 frames per second, but I did have to compromise the visuals in order to obtain 90 frames per second, so I decided on 60 frames per second. This game is running on the Unreal Engine 5.2. It is budget price, so I'm not going to harp too much on optimization, but I just wanted to highlight that because it is sort of an issue. Now motion controllers do work as well, so you have smooth locomotion and smooth turning, no issues at all. Obviously you don't have any VR interactions in this game, so you're basically just using the VR motion controllers as a gamepad, but that's pretty much the same case on the Meta Quest version. You do have avatar hands on the Meta Quest version, but you don't actually interact with anything other than I believe you can stop the pedestrian, the NPC that's walking, and you can stop him in his tracks and make him drop his cell phone, but that's the only difference that I noticed from the Quest version and the PC version as far as VR interactions. The big difference between the two versions is that the Quest version has downgraded visuals. Now the positive is that this game seems to look crisp and clear on there. I didn't notice any graphical issues, and it seems to be running pretty well on the Meta Quest. However, the art style is definitely less realistic and more on the cartoony side, whereas there's a more realistic looking feel on the PC VR version, although I will say the PC VR version could look a whole lot better. It's not photorealistic like some Unreal Engine 5 games that I've played. However, other than that, the games are basically the same. This is a spot the difference horror game, and honestly there's not a whole lot of gameplay here. You can beat the game real quick in less than an hour. Now it took me 2 hours to 100% the game. There's 2 achievements. One of them is to find all the anomalies, and the second one is to beat the game. However, I will say that it only took me 2 hours because I had real difficulty finding the ghost in the ceiling due to the visual glitches. I would estimate most people beat this game and 100% it in 1 hour. So overall, there's not really a whole lot to this game. The map is pretty small, and there's really not that many anomalies. The visuals could also be better, so if I have to rate the PC VR version, and again, there is no official VR support for this game, and some of the VR issues are definitely not the fault of the developer, but if to rate the game right now as is using UEVR and doing the modifications to the engine.ini file, I would give this a VR rating of 6.5 out of 10. But again, take my review score with a grain of salt because it's definitely not the developer's fault. This is just some of the issues that UEVR has with some games, and I think the PC VR version is superior simply because it's about half the price. So definitely I would recommend buying the PC version and trying UEVR, especially if you never used it before. But keep in mind it's not perfect, and if you want to support the VR developers, definitely buy the Meta Quest standalone version. Anyways, I'm Fast Lawyer. This has been my review for the Exit 8 PC VR. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of the video.